What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S. Yes, Rise here, but see what calls the blog. Today I want to give you some random thoughts on Andy Mineo, his record sales, his popularity in the mainstream, the direction he went with this album. Just a bunch of thoughts I want to throw out there. Not quickly, but a little bit quickly. First of all, I don't know his first week sales. I've seen projections, and it looks like he's going to finish within the top 10, something like number 8 probably. Of course, we know the surprise album that dropped this past Sunday at the time of this recording was the Drake and Future album, and nobody is going to beat them, I won't say nobody, but it's going to be hard to beat the most popular radio rapper of the 2010s and Future, one of the most popular Southern rappers. So those two together, nobody really stands a shot in hip hop against them. Now, top 10, nothing to sneeze about. We know within our 116 circle, and when I say 116, I'm not talking about reach, but 116 as in whatever you want to label it, Christian rap circles, this is going to be the biggest album of the year in terms of record sales. Unless Bizzle pulls something out, nobody's beating that. So this is a major deal. I mean, if this was Rockefeller Records, then he will be the Kanye. And of course, Lecrae will be the Jay-Z. So he's the number 2 man in that sense. But to go along with that random thoughts, when I look at this album, I'm going to talk a little bit about the album, but just looking at him in general, I think, could he be more popular than he is now? And I actually think he could. Now, does he want to? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know his mission. I don't know what his goal is. As an artist, like the Lecrae goal and KB goal, I don't think are the same. I mean, of course, it's the gospel, but I mean, in terms of how they're going to carry that out, if you listen to the album, it doesn't sound the same. Now, what is Andy's goal? I don't know. But this is just more of a speculation, throwing out some thoughts. Obviously, it's to infiltrate some of mainstream. We've seen him on various radio shows, the Sways. I can't remember the old school guy, the DJ Tony. I know he's a producer too. Forgot his name. Sorry about that. But, Status Selector, Sway. He's been on various shows where he's able to display his talents. Instead of having written, he's going off the dome and freestyle. So he's building up this new lane of I'm the what I call Cypher Andy. Instead of being this pop rapper, like you would see him being Cypher Andy in these ciphers, but on the albums, a lot of the stuff appeals to the pop crowd. And I'm not saying that this album doesn't in totality, but a lot of it is. You can tell the Illmind, hardcore hip hop influence on this album. But could he be bigger? I would say he could. Again, I don't know if it's gold. And the reason I say he could, I think there are certain characteristics, formulas that make people popular in mainstream rap. I would even argue probably Bizzle might, in some circles, might even be more known than Andy Mineo, even though he doesn't sell like him. He's probably more known. What I mean by that, he has had records, from his mixtapes or singles that have been controversial, that have been on World Star Hip Hop, that have been talked about. We know the Jay-Z song and Illuminati stuff. We know the Nicki Minaj song he did. We know the Macklemore song he did. Like, these songs are controversial. These songs have been on World Star, have been talked about. Andy Mineo is not really a controversial, quote-unquote, rapper. Now, he said some controversial things on his album, about race and politics. But that's not, that's the thing now. And I'm not saying he's doing that because it's the thing, but I'm just saying that's not really. This was some years ago, yeah, maybe it'd be controversial, but now that's like the norm in some circles in hip hop. So he's not a controversial guy, right? That could cross him over. I'm not saying he has to be controversial, but that could cross him over. Another thing, he could be more popular. And I'm saying he has to do this, but you look at the plugs. Lecrae, part of his popularity is what? He got some plugs, right? Status Selector featured him on a radio show because he sold a lot of records, mainly, let's be honest. And this was before he quote unquote changed. And then you saw him get into the BET Cypher. Then you saw him on the Hookup with Street Symphony. And through Street Symphony, he got him into various lanes. Then you got him with DJ Cannon. Did a mixtape. Like, he was plugged in. And, the BET Cypher, he was plugged in to various lanes. Now, Andy has experienced some of that as well. Again, he's been on various radio stations, right? New York. Been on BET Cypher. He's been on MTV. Sway, little TV show. Not little, but you know what I'm saying. TV show where he did some freestyles. He's had some plugs. But, again, he hasn't done like he's done a mixtape, but not with, a mainstream person that can plug him in. Speaking of that, you have Illmind, which, of course, is a mainstream person. I mean, he's not the most known DJ not DJ producer in the world, but he's been featured on some big albums. But in my opinion, Andy, and again, maybe he didn't want to. He obviously didn't want to, but he could have really made some inroads, in my opinion, if he would have did what Ortiz did. Joel Ortiz, you don't know, Joel Ortiz and Illmind had an album, came out not too long ago, and it said Illmind, Ortiz, I believe it was Human, something like that, right? And he didn't in my opinion, didn't take advantage of that. Why not do a joint album? And he could still do it. He can do a mixtape. Why not do a joint album with Illmind to plug into that lane? I mean, executive produced by Illmind is fine, but having an album with Illmind and him, that's a different thing. So, I mean, again, his plugs, I think he could be even more popular. Now, does he want that? Maybe he don't care. I don't know. Another to go along with the plug thing is working with mainstream artists. You saw it with Lecrae. We know Big Crit, Emilio Rojas, Rhapsody. I mean, we can go on and on with the mainstream people he has worked with. Even on the Church Clothes, who was a King Los. Andy Mineo, Chris Calico, as far as I know, maybe there's some stuff I don't know about. He doesn't really work with mainstream artists, and maybe he has some convictions about that. Who am I? I'm not going to diss nobody for their convictions. Maybe he does, and if he does, that's great. I don't say you can't work with quote unquote secular artists or whatever, but he really hasn't been plugged in with mainstream artists to really cross him over and to make him a little bit more popular. Along with that would be guest appearances. And this is the part I really don't understand about Andy Mineo. Like, being the number 2 man, you don't really see Andy Mineo on a lot of projects, which I find interesting. I don't get it. I don't know why. Nah, you see him do some hooks, or some people did like Propaganda, various reach artists. But other than that, him being like everywhere, like Lecrae, remember when Lecrae was on his run, he was everywhere. He was doing stuff with gospel artists, he was doing stuff with rock artists. I don't know, maybe Andy has done stuff with rock. I don't really listen to rock. Christian rock. He's done with R&B, like every genre. You don't really see Andy Mineo like that. And I think if that's his choice, if he wants to, again, I think he could be more popular. But I don't know, maybe he's selective. He might be a type of person that's real selective about the stuff he does, and maybe that's it. So along with that, and obviously, and the biggest thing, it's just putting out a lot of music. We know that Drake is the king of radio, and he's the king of radio because he's constantly putting out music, constantly putting out music. I mean, he had stuff on SoundCloud, and that played on the radio. Just release some free stuff. He's constantly on the radio. He's constantly everywhere. Constantly putting out new music. And it's not just Andy Mineo, but just our 116 circle in general. I don't see us having that mass, just constantly putting out music like we see in mainstream rap, like a Drake. Drake became popular, the same formula Lil Wayne used. Mixtapes and being everywhere, right? That's how Lil Wayne was everywhere when he was on top. Because of mixtape stuff. I don't really see that with us putting out that constant music. Like, cats will have, 50 or 60 songs just sitting around. For what? I don't get that. Like, if you put out all these songs and they good and they don't fit your project, give them out for free. Do a mixtape. Just constantly have your name out. That's why Future's so popular. That's why Drake's so popular. I think, again, the popularity, I think Andy Mineo could be more popular than he is. Again, maybe he doesn't want to. If he doesn't, hey, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I think his music could reach more people if he tapped into one of those quote-unquote formula things. Now, I want to say the last thing on my random thoughts. I mean, I give him credit. Like, he got some, radio crossover stuff, but again, there is no anthem stuff. There is no You Can't Stop Me. He intentionally did it that way. There's no Southern tracks in that sense. And again, he could build off that popularity there, but he pulled for lack of a better word, a Kendrick in terms of just doing music and not thinking about radio. Same thing with J. Cole, just doing music and not doing radio. And I can applaud that. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that. But, me personally, I want to hear some more radio stuff. I want to hear some You Can't Stop Me. I want to hear some stuff that, not a whole album, but some stuff when I go to a concert, I want to be hyped over this song where everybody going crazy, we all celebrating together. This album doesn't really have that. Which again, I'm saying I'm not dissing it because of that. That's to be applauded because you're not doing it for popularity in that sense. But, from a personal standpoint, I don't want to have to listen to You Can't Stop Me for a billion times. My niece and nephew love that song. It would be nice if we could replace that. But there's nothing on this album that's really going to replace that. So, going with Illmind, going that way, going more in the direction of quote-unquote Cypher Andy. I mean, that's to be applauded because he didn't have to go that route. So I give him credit for that. I mean, I personally would have, had a little more pop stuff, but hey, he doing music. And I can't be mad at that for that sense. So that's my general thoughts, y'all. Just throwing out some random stuff. Want to get y'all thoughts on the album besides, just song stuff about what does this album mean. This is Proceed with Cost Blog. Kobe Sutson. I'm out.